Welcome back to Musicians Hall of Fame, the question series, as we're calling it. Britt, what's next?
All right, John A. from Santa Cruz, California. Joe, I'm a 67-year-old singer-songwriter, been playing since I was 11, started writing tunes within first year. Like a lot of folks, my dream was to make a living doing something I love and am passionate about. For a variety of reasons, that never happened. Realize I am many generations removed from current musical trends. My question is it a waste of time for someone my age to submit a song for consideration? I do so occasionally, usually via Reverb Nation, to date with nary a nibble. Never told why my tune wasn't selected. Would love to know your thoughts on a geezer songwriter should ever bother. Thanks and God bless.
Well, first off, I would never discourage anybody from doing something they're passionate about doing. And like I said earlier, it doesn't matter how old you are. You might not be a teeny bopper teen idol at 67, but you can definitely be a songwriter. But like anything, you just keep in mind, and I'm just being really truthful with you. Maybe not to the same degree, but if you're going to be a track runner, you do it every day. You're competing against people who do it every day. The odds of you going to the track once every 2 months and running and then being really competitive with those people that get up in the morning and do it day in and day out, that's what they're, totally passionate about, it's going to be a stretch. Not saying it can't happen. And if you watch the interview that I did with Robbie Krieger, you'll see the first song he wrote was Light My Fire. That was the first song he wrote. So don't ever say never, but just be realistic, and don't be discouraged. Again, if you love doing it, don't worry about what anybody says. You do it because you love it, and don't make excuses. I'm not sure about what the reverb deal is about pitching songs, but again, to be just bluntly honest, if you wanted, Conway Twitty told me he moved to Nashville after he had 30 number one records because he goes, if you want to be in the music business, you need to be in Nashville if you want to be in country music. So now, today, that really has included other genres since the beginning. The first record Paul McCartney ever bought was Bebop Paloola, and that was recorded right here on the first studio in Music Row. So those people that are dead serious about it, get up and move here, but don't let that stop you from doing what you love to do. And again, you might get lucky.
He also said, P.S., love your Vault series of interviews and voted for the MHOF.
Thank you very much. I wish I hadn't asked so many people to do that. And I thought that was going to be a legitimate contest. It turned out maybe not to be so much. I don't think we're going to allow the Musicians Hall of Fame to participate next time. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, next one, Alan from Chicago. Question 1, with the current crisis, have you thought about doing 180 or 360 video tours of the museum? I'll go ahead and ask all of them. 2, how did you end up starting the museum? And then 3, have you ever met Bob Dylan?
Never met Bob Dylan. Would love to, I think. But he's one that I hadn't met. But again, I was lucky enough to know, as you saw, if you saw the video that we put together with interviews that I had done with so many of the guys that played with Dylan here on what many think were his. Of course, I think Highway 61 was a pretty great album. It was in New York, but Blonde on Blonde, John Wesley Hardin, Nashville Skyline, Self-Portrait. Most of those albums were recorded here in Nashville, and I was lucky enough to know all those guys, and that's about as close as you're going to get. What was the other part of that?
Well, two of them. Have you thought about doing a 180 or 360 tour?
We did. Google did come in a few years ago and did one that's dated now because we've added probably 2/3 more size is 2/3 bigger now than it was when they did that original 360 video in here. And we've added, I mean, we add stuff all the time, but we've added a ton since that happened. So in a way, I wouldn't mind you seeing it if it's available. I'm not sure how you'd look it up really anymore. But it would not be, I'd hate for you to see it now because it's not what the museum is anymore. It's so much more. And
you do have the app.
now, that is right. And what you can do is go to our website and go to the app. And I narrate a walking tour through here. Now, it's not motion picture, but it is pictures of each section, still shots. And I kind of give a condensed review of each section to some degree. And people seem to like that a lot.
And Alex can link that below.
He can add that to the description below here once we get through with it.
And then the last part from Alan, how did you end up starting the museum?
Alan, I can't really tell you that in detail. We're kind of about run out of time here but I will just say that I got to the end of my songwriting and retail career with guitars, selling guitars, and I realized there was not a Musicians Hall of Fame. I checked it, and when I saw there wasn't one, I talked to my wife, Linda, and she says, do what you want to do. So I just did it. I didn't know anything about what made up a museum other than when I was a kid and went through the Muskogee County Museum in Columbus, Georgia for the most part. I had to go and I hit as many museums as I could to see what constituted a museum. I basically came up with hallways and stuff. And so I had to, in presentations. So I had to start acquiring the stuff to put in here. We bought a building, we built the building. I built hallways in it. We bought the building in November of 2003. We did a total renovation on it. It was 30,000 square feet. And we opened in June of 2006. We stayed open until February of 2010. At the time, the city of Nashville took over possession of my building by what they call eminent domain in order to build. I had bought the building that ended up being in the middle of the convention center. And so, without getting into a lot of detail, that's why we ended up here at the Municipal Auditorium building. And it was just my love of music and the fact that I had had a lot of different lives in music, from being a songwriter, being in a band, working for a record label, and owning guitar shops and building guitar shops. The building of the guitar shops is what gave me the idea that I might be able to just multiply the size of a 3,000 square foot guitar shop times 10 for the first museum and made it 30,000 square feet. And I just figured, okay, I got to make 10 of these. I've done that before. Just multiply that times 10. And the other thing was just people that I didn't know. 6 degrees of separation, like I said earlier, is true. You can pretty much get into contact with anybody if you know the right person who knows the right person. And so hopefully that answers the question in a short form.
Very short. Okay, Ken from Hawaii. What guitars are in the museum that belong to well-known and famous guitarists?
Well, the one behind me, Jimi Hendrix, B.B. King, Steve Cropper, Dwayne Eddy. James Burton's guitar was one that got It wasn't one of the old ones, thank God, but it was destroyed in that, to the point I couldn't put it back out in that 2010 flood when, at the time they had made me move from my original building. We put stuff in what they call sound check, which was where a lot of people had their gear, Frampton, Vince Gill, everybody, and it was a disaster. But luckily, I think that was probably the only instrument that we couldn't get back out on exhibit. We have pianos that were used at Caribou Studio that Elton John to Chicago to Earth, Wind and Fire played. We've got all of Garth's studio musicians' instruments. I've got the drum set from Mike Shreves you've seen it. If you weren't at Woodstock, if you saw the movie, it's the drum set you see on Soul Sacrifice, and you've heard it on the first 2 Santana albums. J.I.'s drum set from the Crickets, Buddy Holly. Uriel's kit from Motown, like I said, Hal Blaine, Earl Palmer.
Hey, Dad. They actually asked for famous guitarists.
Oh, sorry. They play guitar too. So guitars.
You too? You have that guitar?
Who?
You have a... You too?
Oh, yeah, Bono.
Tom Petty?
Jerry Reed, Chet Atkins, Reggie Young, Chris Lusinger.
What, the Elvis clam bake?
Oh, the guitar that Elvis played on the movie Clam Bake. It's just a prop guitar, but it's kind of cool. Wayne Moss's jazz master that he used on Pretty Woman, and Dylan Sessions there as well. Gary Talent's basses from E Street Band, like from the ones you hear on Born to Run and Born in the USA. Les Paul, his Les Paul that he used with Chet Atkins on Chester and Lester album that was recorded here. Glenn Campbell guitars. The acoustic guitar used on the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour, the first 3 or 4 shows before he went from Mozarite to Ovation. Joe Osborne's Fender Jazz bass that was on the Ozzy and Harriet show with Ricky Nelson and was on all those records, as well as, like I said, the Grassroots, Mamas and Papas, just about everything that the Wrecking Crew did. Larry Knechtel's bass with Bread. I'm having a brain freeze. Guitar player, the one guy that really played guitar with part of Aaron the Raiders on kicks and all that. And I'm sorry, but I'm having a senior moment here. Don Felder's guitar, the one he wrote, "Victim of Love," and used on the Hell Freezes Over and Hotel California tours. Steve Lukather's Les Paul that he used on Hold the Line, and Pete Townsend's Les Paul that was on one of the ones he used on the Quadrophenia. He tore up a lot of those guitars on that Quadrophenia tour. Got one of the Dave Clark Five's Teardrop Vox guitars. Yeah, I don't know, a lot. So.
What do you have of Roy Orbison?
The only one that was used on Roy's that we have here right at the moment was Wayne Moss's guitar.
Okay. Cool.
We had Jerry Kennedy's, which was another one that we'll probably get back. And Jerry Kennedy's dobro that he used on Harper Valley PTA.
Ravi Shankar?
I have one of Ravi Shankar's, Ravi Shankar's sitars. I'm leaving out stuff.
All right, next one. Joe / Ron Roman. I think, or Roman. I think I don't know. But he's from California. And sorry, I'm saying I don't know because I don't know if he was putting in in the thing Joe, or if he was saying his name is Joe or his name is Ron. I'm assuming Ron. Hi, Joe. Do you know how the echo was done for Richie Valens' vocals and the lead guitar tracks for La Bamba, Donna, and Let's Go when he recorded at Delphi Studios when they had no echo chamber at the time?
I do not.
Okay.
Sorry.
Alan Motorelli, Youngstown, Ohio. Can you do one on Cliff Gallup and the Blue Notes Association with Louisiana Hayride and other music promoters? Emphasis on Gallup in his later years would be nice with instrument and gear detail. Thank you.
You mean
I
an
guess an
exhibit
interview.
or a...
It looks like I think he's saying an interview, for YouTube.
I don't know. We can check it out and see. That's one I'm not familiar with. Sorry.
All right. Next one. Name Minister of Darkness from Nashville. Your thoughts on the massive resurgence of vinyl records in the past 7 years. What do the people you interview think about it? Do you prefer vinyl over digital? Thanks, Joe. Love the channel. Nashvilleian, born and raised.
Well, there's a couple of reasons I like vinyl, because the songwriters and the artists actually get paid, and the record label gets paid. This whole thing with Napster just kind of flipped everything upside down and took everything off the track. I think we're all guilty of liking free music, but it's played havoc with the music industry. I think it's hurt the music industry. There's a lot of people that, like I talked about before, that are going to do it regardless if they get paid or not. But there's a lot that just can't afford it because they got families and so forth. And the realities of life come in, and you just have to, you can't put the time in it because you have bills to pay. I think that the vinyl, I'm this and that about the vinyl. It's very nice to be able just to hit a button and jump to the song you want to hear. It was kind of a bitch to pick up the needle and have to find the right place to come down and not scratch the record and things like that. So it's got its pros and cons. I guess if you were just listening to it for the pure joy of listening to the vinyl, there's a lot of things that are to be said for that, but the convenience and the overall sound is not bad on digital either. But it's something about watching a piece of vinyl on a turntable, and it pulls you into it rather than just looking at a box, that you can't see anything. You just see a light come on, So I'm a little bit torn, I think I'd be sad if digital went away and vinyl was the only thing that came back. And on the other hand, I'd be really happy if vinyl came back and people were buying records again. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
All right. T. Morris from Idaho. Perhaps an interview with Tony Brown?
Actually, that's in the works. And I've talked to Tony. He was here just a few weeks ago, and we exchanged phone numbers again, and he'll be great. He's got an incredible career to talk about.
All right, Michael LeBrun from New Jersey. Do you have George Jones stories?
I love George. George was I was trying to figure out, do I like country music when I first flipped over to, decide I was going to be a songwriter. And when I heard a song called The Door by George Jones, I realized that George, to me, was an R&B singer. I mean, he could take one note, one word, and stretch it into a whole sentence, a whole line. He was so soulful. And I just think he was the greatest. That was my hope, is that those times when I'd be out and I'd see George in the studio and he'd be talking like Donald Duck, like he used to talk like this really crazy Donald Duck, kind of demented Duck when he was strung out. It was kind of funny in a way, but then it was very sad in another way. And I kept thinking the next day I was going to see in the paper where George passed away, and I never would have gotten a song recorded on it. But that's kind of a selfish thing to say, but I loved his singing so much, and as a songwriter, and that was kind of my niche, was kind of writing George Jones stuff, along with the fact that Billy Sherrill produced him, and I worked for Billy. And but George was great. You know, I mean, he had his demons and he had his time. You know, Nancy did save his life, and I was so honored and thrilled that he recorded 3 of my songs. He recorded one of them twice, and we have this mobile studio in here. It's called the Induction studio, and he re-recorded. He told me, he said, "Joe, this is my favorite song," and when he sang it, he was still, you know, he was on the cocaine train, drinking, and Billy said, "Joe, he put it on the George Jones 10-year anniversary greatest hits album, even though it wasn't a single. It still made the greatest hits album. It was called Good Ones and Bad Ones, and Larry Jenkins and I wrote it. And then he re-recorded it 20 years later on the Bradley Barnes sessions, and he recorded it as a duo this time with a guy named Mark Chestnut. You know, but George was great. You know, I'd pulled up to his house and looked up this massive stairway, and George opened the door up, and he's standing there in his boxer shorts. "Hey, son, come on up," you know. And he was when he was not on anything, he was one of the nicest people you could ever meet, and he was the greatest country singer of all time.
Cool. All right, Brian K. Guitar from Clearwater, Florida. Hello, Joe. Before asking my question, I want to take this opportunity to say how fantastic your MHOF Backstage series is. You are a consummate interviewer. Thank you for providing genuine and substantial content out here on YouTube. Currently, I have an instrumental blues rock fusion project, and we are focusing on live performance primarily over the internet. My question is this: what are your thoughts on the internet providing a viable income source for original instrumental bands? Do you feel bands live streaming shows over the internet may be an up-and-coming reality for the future of bands being successful and generating real income? Thank you, I think it says for your time, and I look forward to more quality content with your Backstage Vault series. Brian.
All right, thanks, Brian. I think I kind of maybe answered that in a way, maybe in an earlier. Internet is, like I said, to me, it's kind of like the AM radio of the 60s, 50s, and so forth, early 70s. And I think that, you know, if you look at it at the internet, at YouTube, like a AM station in a city, and you get a following, a small following, and in this way, I mean, you know all about this stuff. I mean, I'm still kind of new to it, but you know, if it goes viral, you know, you're rocking, right? And so it's just a matter of, I mean, if you think about it, that's a really great opportunity. Yes, there are infinite amounts of people doing the same thing, but like I said, the cream will rise to the top. You just have to keep putting it out there. And there's always somebody looking, you know, for a producer, a record label, a TV show. There's always somebody looking for real talent. And if you just keep being honest to your craft and keep trying to get better and better, and you stick with it, and again, to quote Tom Petty, if you get you a little bit of rhino skin, I kept wanting to say elephant something, but if you've got a good chance. I think it's great, and you can definitely, you know, people say, how do you make it? I said, define making it. To me, if you can do what you love and make a living, an honest living at it, and not selfishly deprive your family, if you're married and have kids, of a decent life, doing what you love to do, if you can do that, if you can get a car and a house and food, doing what you love to do, to me, you've made it. Anything over that is just icing on the cake.
All right. Steve Helton from Tennessee. Did Elvis ever compare recording in Nashville to Memphis?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Steve Hornshaw from Romania. Any experiences, meetings, musicians involved with Lee Hazlewood and Nancy Sinatra when they recorded in Nashville? I came with this after watching your fantastic meeting with Dwayne Eddy, who was involved with Lee, who wrote some great instrumentals.
I don't know. I wasn't here then. If I was, I didn't know them. But, you know, Don Randy is a very good friend. Don was her musical director, I guess, for most of her career. Mm-hmm. You know, Don and Hal Blaine played drums with her. I don't think that Nancy would go anywhere and play without Don Randy. I don't know if Don came to Nashville or not. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. That's all I know.
All right, Gary Daniel, what color is blue?
Blue is blue. Blue is a true color. And it's like one of the primary colors. So that's the short and the long of it.
All right, Sean Gallant, London, Nashville. Hello, Mr. Chambers. You have done a fabulous job with the museum. I have been asked by many people who are inducted and many visitors, does Larry London, a.k.a. Ralph Gallant, have a chance to be inducted to the Musicians Hall of Fame?
Yeah. And he was a great drummer, and everybody knows it, and it's just a matter of... actually, his name came up this last induction period, and when it went to we have like an anonymous board that the nominees go to. This time it didn't go through, but he's in the pool now, and that doesn't go away. So, you know, the next time we have a show, this Corona thing's kind of screwed everything up, as you know. So I'm not sure. We had the Skirmahorn under on hold for doing the award show again this October, but we just had to release it because it just not, with everything that's going on, we just don't know when we're going to do the next one.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're going to go to Alex M. Any plans to extend merchandise online?
Yes, and you know what? Let me take a break, and we'll come back, and we'll that's a good thing because we're about to run out of time right now. But we're gonna, when we come back from this commercial, we'll show you a lot of new stuff. Okay, so hang in there. We'll be right back. Magically, here it has appeared. So, if you've ever been here before, we got a ton of shirts. So we're just going to show some of the new stuff. But this is the old coffee cup, and it's just got the regular old Musicians Hall of Fame on it, along with the logo on the shot glass if you decide to take a very small drink or if you're into whiskey. These are our new cups that we did just for you guys for the show. I feel like a televangelist doing this, you know.
A televangelist?
Yes. Oh my God. But anyway, Alex, can you here's a camera right here. So this has an old-timey TV set on it, you know, and it's got our logo and everything, and some people seem to like this pretty well. If you're kind of a George Jetson's fan, this is another one that shows in a cool old vintage-type TV set, kind of like George Jetson would have. Musicians Hall of Fame backstage logo rather than just a normal Musicians Hall of Fame and museum logo. Mm-hmm. And here's one that says it, no doubt, Musicians Hall of Fame backstage, okay? I hear that once you've drank out of one of these cups, that nothing ever tastes as good again. So don't get it unless you're planning on keeping it. For all you guys, this is some of the newer hats that we have.
That's a good hat.
This is our traditional hat with our, people call it a pick logo, but it's really not a pick. It just happens to be close to a pick. But
It's a pick shape.
Pick shape. And we've got all different colors of these as well. And we went and grabbed these here during commercial, so we're not professional models.
All right. So
Show that one.
this has also got the little YouTube
Oh, that's the
situation.
Yeah.
So it's the same as on the back.
Yeah. So if it's in black and white, it's in color on the
So it's similar to that mug,
Mm-hmm.
and then the same situation, but with the big. Can you see that pretty good? So that's what's on the coffee mug.
So see, you get a matching cup and a matching shirt.
Yeah. And then we have, these are your
Long sleeve with a pocket.
this one has the drumsticks.
Yeah. Can we just pull it open where you can see it? So, we have these like for, if your arm's in it, it's easier to see. So we have drumsticks, and we got one with a guitar neck. And
Well, wait, let me get the guitar. We'll come back to
keyboard.
that purple one. So that's the same, except with the piano.
Yeah.
If you're bored at home right now, you can just play on.
If you
practice on
if
your
you ever
arm.
get back on an airplane again, you can practice on your arm. And
This is now becoming QVC.
good.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
good God.
And then this is the guitar.
Yeah, it's guitar.
And different colors in all of those, right?
Yeah.
Drums,
Yeah.
piano,
So
and
this is.
guitar.
I don't want to burn your retinas out, but this is what I sleep in. Try not to forget
This
that.
is your signature.
This is what I.
Yeah.
It's my night. It's my
This
night.
is one of your favorite colors.
And
Then we got,
green, that's new.
yeah, so same thing. You just have a couple different
If you
colors.
like most guys like pockets. The women are telling us some of them do, some of them don't because of where the pocket is. But okay. For those of you who like the Monkees and like the Bobby Hart show, I kind of stole this from the Monkees TV show a long time ago. Remember the Monkees show where they rode down the street with the car and they had the monkeys written on the side? And I just, kind of filled it with Musicians Hall of Fame instead of monkeys.
Okay, this was just kind of a cute little new one we saw out there.
All right, this is kind of, if you come to the museum, we have a huge mural of this one outside, and it's kind of our newer kind of a logo. Steve Milgren from Obey, he works with Obey T-shirts. He has his pressing. He has his own printing company. Came in the museum last year and was really into the museum and had these designed for us. He had a few things designed for us and donated it to us, and we really appreciate it. And he's a great guy, and these designs, they're just awesome. So
you have this on a few things too, though, right? The same design?
he's got one on a hat. And,
Yeah.
And just.
So that's a women's tee.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
This is one we did last summer. We wanted kind of to make a kind of a California beach kind of a shirt, just a different type logo. So it has our old Pick logo on the pocket, but with kind of a different colors. And then the back is just a Royce Degree, one of our designers, kind of took what I told him, the colors and stuff, and created that. Did, as usual, a great job, I thought.
And these are all super soft. I love them,
Yeah,
especially
they're
this one.
pretty strong, which is important to me. And then we have a lot of shirts like this. This is our traditional logo.
And it's got like a little gold. I like that sparkle.
Yeah, and but anyway, we've got these in all different colors. And we've had that since we opened up in 2006. And so
There's a lot more.
yeah, we have a whole lot more than probably when you were here last time. Was it Alex, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Alex.
So thanks for
You
the
can shop
question.
online.
Yeah, you can shop online. Lori will ship it out to you. She's the head of our gift department, or swag, or whatever you call it. So again, thanks everybody so much. If you like this, if you hadn't, thrown your computer away after watching this, you enjoy it, and you want to see more, we'll give you more if you like it. So if you've got some more questions, just send them in to Alex, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Again, everybody, take care. Try to stay healthy. Take it serious. It's going to be over. We've all been through 9/11, and if you're my age, the Kennedy disaster and all that. But we got through it all. We're going to get through this, but you just need to be careful. And I hope to see you again soon, okay? Thanks for watching Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage Q&A.